Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. Today, we're talking about chapters 80 and 81 of Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson, book 2 of the Stormlight Archive, so on and so forth, wherein we spend a lot of time out on the plains as the army is approaching and then making it to the center of the plains. But there's also some hanging out with Kaladin back at the war camps. He's not doing great, but he has a couple of interesting conversations with people, I guess you would say. So I'm Data, and with me today is
Jack,
Jamie,
and Joe.
So hang on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche is about to begin. So yeah, just 2 chapters this time, and a little bit of meat in there, some interesting stuff going on, and kicking off. What did you guys think of these 2 chapters?
Yeah, ominous. Like the stuff on the plains is like, oh, okay. I feel like we just sort of came up on, oh, yep, there they are. We're fighting now. Like, oh, okay, no worries. But it was bleak-looking stuff. So, yep, just need to see where that goes. I think the Kaladin stuff was more interesting because there was a bit of introspection there, and just it was just a bit of a breather considering Kaladin's been pretty go for a bit. Not loving the fact that he still seems to be crushing hard on Shallan, but I did like his interactions with Elhokar, and hey, Zahel's back. I'd forgotten about him. So, yeah, just some nice conversations, nice interactions there. So, yeah, we're very much in the end game, so let's just see how this all goes.
Yeah, it does seem very end game here, right? And then it is interesting that as things heat up out there, Kaladin is kind of forced to be inactive, and all he can do is hobble around and chat with people, and so it's an interesting comparison to what's going on with the other characters.
Yeah, it's very much like everyone else's stuff is going to shit, and he's just he's waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, I mean, good chapters. It did feel pretty sudden to be just boom, okay, off we go, fight. But I guess that it works. They're looking at this going, this is the battle. But I think we all know that there's something else coming because we haven't seen Eshonai yet. So yeah, it was good though. I was a bit sad about Adolin's horse. I was like, oh no, we've had the casualty. Yeah, I don't like when people start to die or any characters start to die, even if they're kind of fine. Very someone's horse, But once again, Brandon doesn't like the horses. It's fine. I also like the stuff with Zahel and Kaladin. I thought that was more interesting, and I'm really hoping that his conversation with Elhokar was enough to start turning his vehicle around on his thoughts, and maybe be the first step to bring the seal back. But yeah, good. Definitely getting towards the end of the book now. I'm liking it. Let's go.
You're ready. Let's just finish this.
I am ready for the Sanderlanche.
It is. I agree with you. The Adolin's horse is sad. We don't know Sureblood all that well, but it's not fun. And of course, it would have to be the horse, freaking Brandon.
At this point, it's tradition.
Yeah, he's got it in for horsies. I don't know why. Yeah, these chapters, we're getting to a lot of perspective changes, which I think we've said many times, usually indicates that we're rolling quickly towards the end, which we know, based on how far we've read. But because of that, there's a lot of things kind of going on. The battle is kind of weird because it's kind of I feel like Dax said, we're waiting for the other shoe to drop here because we know this isn't all there is, and we're almost disconnected from the battle. We had that little snippet with Adolin, but for the most part, we're looking through Dalinar, and he's not directly in the battle, at least not yet. He's kind of on the sidelines, and so we're getting all of this third-hand intel of what's happening on the battlefield, and not really we've had sections of this book and the previous book where we're actually in the middle of a battle and it's being described and things, and that's not what's happening here. So I'm guessing that is either being saved for later when things kind of really get out of control, or this is just going to be a completely different perspective of the action that's taking place in the book. But given all that, it is exciting. Strangely, I'm actually liking the Kaladin stuff more, because I feel like, something exciting maybe will happen now, because he's coming to these realizations about kind of why he's thought the way he's thought for a while, and how he's, basically doing what others have done to him. And, that a lot of the decisions he's made came from fear. We get that moment with him with Elhokar where they're talking very candidly, and it's not something we've ever really seen from Elhokar before. So it was definitely different and interesting. And so I'm looking forward to how this portion of the story wraps up, for sure, because there's a lot of changes I feel like are just on the horizon based on kind of how everything's shaping up in the different areas.
It's interesting that I didn't think about it until you said it, but we really don't get much like in the thick of the battle here. I think the only perspective we get that's actually in the fight is Adolin, and that's mostly like his horse getting killed. It's not like we don't see a lot of the actual fighting there. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's a really just short section of that. There's not almost any like on the battlefield fighting stuff in this section.
Yeah, it's treated differently than a lot of the fights that we've seen in here. It's a good point. And I guess we'll have to see. I mean, the battle has started now, so we'll have to see exactly how much battle we end up in here. Well, I was going to expand more, but we'll get there when we get to that point in the chapters. I guess let's get into these two chapters. Before our first chapter, we actually had a map of the Shattered Plains, and it says the eastern side of the plains is much more eroded than this. Light areas are plateaus packed closely together. Dark areas represent plateaus less densely packed. I know you wanted me to draw every plateau, but shadows, woman. Even I'm not that crazy. So, but it's funny to me how clearly this is a Naz thing. He says shadows because he's from that planet where Shadows for Silence takes place and stuff. So, also when you look at the map, I was like, oh really? So light areas are closely packed plateaus and dark areas are like sparsely packed plateaus. So that really makes this whole map look like it's just weird to me. And there's more areas of like less densely packed plateaus than I would have thought. And then you get to see like here's where we move to the center, and it's like this very narrow corridor. All right, so the first chapter was To Fight the Rain, and a very short section from the diagram. Tenets of instruction, back of the footboard, paragraph 1. You must become king of everything. So I guess we know what Taravangian is going for.
Back of the footboard. Was that the bed?
I guess, yeah, that must mean the bed. Yeah. He like chucked the mattress so he could write on the back of the footboard.
The royal carpenter is pissed.
So he's now conquered like one major nation on on Roshar. When you look at the map, Yakoved's a pretty big country actually. So, but if he wants to become king of everything, we're gonna have to figure out how he's gonna manage that. Shalon is where we start with, and the wind is blowing, and Gaz is here like, Brightness, are you sure you want to do this? She's like, yeah, duh. Whether or not it's wise, that's a different question. And so she's up at the top of a rock formation looking out onto the next area of the plains, and they are approaching the center, the city that's there. And she's like, oh, even this was part of the city. Like, you can tell that this used to be a building that we're standing on, basically, just covered over by centuries of creme. And someone's calling out to her, and she's ignoring them. She's trying to look through her spyglass, but she's annoyed because it's getting all fogged up. And Gaz is like, shouldn't we listen to what they're saying down there? And she's like, yeah, what? More twisted Parshendi spotted, whatever, it doesn't matter. But then it's one of the bridgemen or several Bridge 4 people who show up. It's like, Brightness, Hybern Stalinar was withdrawing the vanguard. We need to move back to a secure plateau. He did say that if you wouldn't come, he would send Adolin to cart you back over his shoulder. I love that Dalinar already knows Shalon well enough to know that she may not come just because you told her to.
But if Adolin slings you up.
Yeah, and then she's sitting there going, I'd like to do that. Might just be here. That's not going to work.
Might just take you up on that offer.
Oh, threaten me with a good time.
Exactly. She's like, and she's like, we got to get in there. That's where the secrets are. It's the listeners call it Narak, or the Parshendi, whatever they call them from this perspective. But she's like, that's Stormseat. That's this major city that used to be out here. And she goes back and finds Dalinar in conference with the other high princes about what they're going to be doing. It's a weird note to me that she's like, so she finds them in one of 6 identical tents that are set up. And she's like, I guess it's like a security thing? I don't know. And so Aladar is in favor of staying here at first. He's like, hey, if we like fortify ourselves here, then they'll have to attack us. And this is a good position. And Dalinar's like, yeah, and if we go deeper, we'll have to like split our forces. Royan's like, I mean, they don't need to attack us. We're out here to attack them. If I were them, I wouldn't be like coming at us. I would be staying in my city, and all they really have to do is wait for the high storm to come back and blow us off these plateaus. And Sabarial's like, yeah, trust a coward to know the smartest way to stay out of a fight. That wasn't an insult. My insults are far more pithy. That was a compliment.
I don't understand. I don't understand the dynamic between these guys yet. I know like it was really popular for them to take shots at each other, like when they were in court, but it seems like, I don't know, it's confusing.
Yeah, just like, is this really the time?
It's the only way they know how to be.
That might be right. That's just the only way they can interact with each other. I think it's just Sabarial. That's just like how he talks to people.
Dalinar looks at him and is like, Sabarial, it is possible to not be a dumbass. And Sabarial's genuinely surprised. He's like, wait, really?
What? On one of the other podcasts I listened to, when this guy's introduced, they're like, oh, this is like all-weather set 2.0 or whatever. And I was like, he's a little like set, maybe.
In Ashweather?
Ashweather, sorry. I was like, I knew when I said it, that didn't sound right. All Rianne and Ashweather. Yeah, sorry. I was sitting here thinking before you said, like, that's not right, is it? What's like, the right one?
Is it like Old Father? No, that's not right.
But no, I could see the comparison between the two.
His name was Ashweather Set, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. His daughter was Alrian. I think that's what I was doing when I was combining them. And then Shallan's just like, Royan's right. I refuse to let us bivouac. We have to push further. And Dalinar's like, I wasn't aware that you were the one who decided our tactics, right, Shallan? But okay.
Got her.
And I love Sabarial's just like, it's our own fault for giving her so much leeway. We should just tossed her off the pinnacle the moment she showed up. It feels very much like one of those guys is just like, we gave him the right to vote and everything went to hell. I don't know what to tell you.
I think it's just his way of being like, yeah, I know what you did. I know you kind of put one over on me.
Could be. Yeah. I hadn't thought of it like that. And then Adolin comes in his shard plate and he's like, yeah, they're real agitated out there. There's like 10,000 of those weird Parshendi. And Alanar's like, oh, well, we could take 10,000. We have over 30,000. And Royan's like, what about those red eyes and the weird like flashes of light? When I talked earlier, I didn't mean we should go further. I'm just, I don't know, man.
Don't you worry about Parshendi. Let me worry about blank.
Yep. And so they agree. We're gonna have to press forward. Okay. And Sabarial points out, like, if we get closer, then we're gonna like be cut off without hope of retreat. And Dalinar didn't respond, and Shallan knew why. She's like, oh yeah, we gave up the hope of retreat days ago. At this point, the only way we make it is if we take the city and then we shelter there from the next high storm that comes along. And after they break up the meeting, Dalinar's like, okay, so this magic portal you keep talking about, how real is that? And she's like, well, Yasna was convinced it was completely real, and she's never wrong. I'm not sure from the notes that we saw Yasna was convinced it was completely real. Like, it was a theory. But
yeah. And also, if Yasna was never wrong, she probably wouldn't be not there.
If she's so smart, how come she's dead? Okay.
Supposedly. Allegedly.
I
never saw the body.
And I love Dalinar's like, this would be a storming bad time for her to break her record. But yeah, okay, we'll push forward. And he tells her, like, half the reason I'm doing this is because of you finding this thing, because that could be the way, the exit strategy that we need if the enemy overwhelms us. No pressure, though. So we're back to Kaladin, and the rain's coming down, and he's not feeling it. Lopen got him a crutch, and he spends his days crutching around, supposedly working out his leg, but really, even he acknowledges he should not be moving around on his leg this early. But it's too depressing to stay in this bunk and just sit there with the rain coming down. We see some more rain spren, which I continue to maintain are the creepiest of all spren, because they're like little blue candles coming up from the ground with a single eyeball on the top. And
is there a picture or fan art or something that we can see of these?
That's a good question. Let's see. Rain spren. Oh, here's a piece of fan art. Put that in our Skype chat because I don't want to open Facebook right now.
Good lord.
Yeah, I mean, in that depiction, the eyeball looks like fire, so I feel like that's less creepy than if it was just an eyeball.
Yeah.
But, And so here's the title. The title of our chapter: He Fought the Rain. Did that even make sense? Maybe. And if you guys remember, during his flashbacks, it was always Tien that like cheered him up during this time of the year. And now thinking about Tien just adds to that depression because he has to think about seeing his brother die. And also he's lost Syl now, so nothing good is happening. And he does smile when he looks down at his boots and remembers that these are the ones Shallan stole. I never did believe she was a horn eater. I need to make sure she knows that when she comes back.
Like, don't start feeling all fond for the boots. I know it's fun for Shallan because of the boots, but oh man, you need something else.
Just
honestly,
like
I think anything that cheers him up a little bit is good.
I know, but it just seems so abrupt. It's like I've lost my brother, I've lost Syl, everything's dying. Oh, you should remember that time Shallan stole my boots. Oh man.
Yeah, I knew she wasn't a horn eater from the start, but gosh darn it, she was just so darn cute. Shut up, Kaladin.
I assumed her ethnicity from the start. Wait, what?
Yeah, when you put it that way.
You put it the correct way?
And he thinks about like, man, I was so close to showing everybody what I could do, and then has to admit to himself, like, you weren't going to do that. You kept saying that. You were never going to do it.
I'm just a little boy, and I'm scared.
He gets back to the Bridge 4 barracks, and hey, there's a horse with the king's livery here and a carriage. Huh, that can't be good. And he's got an umbrella, but Lopen is just like, a lot of people just give up on staying dry during the weeping because it just rains constantly. So Lopen's just, he's just going for it. He's like, he's waiting for you, Goncho, the king himself. And so Kaladin goes in, and sure enough, there's the king. Moash is guarding the door, and Taka, former member of the king's guard, is standing nearby. And Kaladin's like, your majesty? The king's like, Bridgman. And he can tell that he's been drinking. He's not drunk, but, he's a little happy.
He's been deep in the cups.
And there's a weird to me note in here that it's like, I used to think the king didn't look very kingly, and I don't think that anymore. Not because Elhokar has improved any. I just now associate Elhokar with kingship because he's the only king that I know. And Elhokar's first move is to be like, these are your quarters? This sucks. Is this really what Dalinar gives his officers?
I have to think maybe like that note is in there to try to, it's like the introduction to, because I think what this scene accomplishes is it humanizes Elhokar a little bit, right? Because before we were kind of like, man, this guy's dumb. He doesn't know what's going on around him. He doesn't care, And in that moment, Kaladin's like, that statement in Kaladin's head is like, yeah, I just now associate him with being a king because he's the king. And I think it kind of sets us up for more humanization of Elhokar, which I think the rest of this part of the conversation really does that in a way that we haven't maybe seen it before. At least that's how I.
Okay, when you first started talking about it, I thought you meant him talking about Kaladin's room, and I was like,
no. Sorry, I was going back to.
But now I follow you. I got you.
Yeah, to what Kaladin was saying earlier. Yeah.
I think that's a fair take on it. Also, it's weird to me that everybody, the king here, and even later when he goes and sees the Ardents, Kaladin is still like bridge man, despite the fact that he's for some time been like the head of Dalinar's guard and the king's guard. Like, it seems disrespectful to me that everyone is like, hey, bridge man. But also, the king's guard now, or Dalinar's guard now calls itself Bridge 4 instead of the Cobalt Guard. So maybe that's just like become the same thing as like guardsmen in this case. I don't know.
Also, it's like he first came to prominence with his miraculous like saving of Dalinar on the plains, and he was a bridgeman at that time. So That's how they knew him. It's
True.
like some bridgeman saved Dalinar. So it's like, oh, this is the captain of the guard. He was the bridgeman. Oh, the bridgeman. Yeah, got it. I know who that is.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Just,
Old Storm blessed himself.
And Gelikar's like, yeah, Dalinar expects everyone to live with his own austerity, as if he's completely forgotten how to enjoy himself. And Kaladin looks over at Moash, who just shrugs. And the king's like, so, I was told you were too weak to make the trip to see me. I see that might not be true. And Kaladin's like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not real well. I walked the camp to rebuild my strength, but I feared my weakness and appearance might be offensive to the throne. And the king's like, I see you've learned to speak politically. Okay. The truth is, my command is meaningless even to a Dark Eyes. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, this, like, just reeks of the self-loathing that Elhokar has. Like, he hates himself, and he is convinced everyone else hates him too. So he's like, yeah, you're too good to come and see me because you hate me too, because everyone does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the sad part is, it's true. He's in that zone, but unfortunately, he's not entirely wrong. Like, not a lot of people like him.
No, like, most people do in fact hate him. He's like, the sad part is he's bang on the money.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And that's what I mean. Like, this whole section just kind of, I think, humanizes him in a way that he hasn't been previously, which, Data's probably about to talk about it, but he also has, like, apparently he's still hearing voices, and then, like, Kaladin somehow makes them stop, which is like, wait, what's going on with that? But
yeah.
I think the scene was good because it just there was a level of self-awareness that I didn't think Elhokar had that level of self-awareness. So I was like, yeah, all right, you might be a crappy king, but at least you're a crappy king and you don't know how to get out of it. You're not sitting there going, oh, I'm the best king anyone's ever had ever. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
The point in this column.
As someone who has dealt in the past with, like, I haven't done particularly well in a certain situation. I'm going to try and make it better. Oh, I made it worse. Oh, well, I'll try and make this other situation better. Oh, I made that worse too. And, dealing with that, I get it. Like, it's not easy to cope with and to live with, especially, when he has that expectation on him 24/7.
yeah, he's been thrust into this very large leadership role for which he was not well equipped. And when he tries, like, he's essentially saying every decision I make, I try my best to make, like, the right decision or at least a good decision, and it blows up in my face, like, every time. So, like, that's a tough situation to be in, right? To be in a leadership position that you didn't ask for. You got it because your dad died. And to basically try to do a good job at it and to fail every time and know, like, I've failed so much in this one thing that is my task to do that now no one, including myself, has any confidence in me.
Yeah,
so
and it's not like he can leave the position either.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't have a choice. I mean, I guess he could abdicate, but it's probably unheard of.
Yeah.
We've definitely, I think, never seen an indication before that Elhokar had this level of self-awareness. To Jamie's point, for sure. And I don't know if it's just because he's been drinking, or if everyone's gone, he's had some time to start thinking about stuff, or if it's just like I don't know what it is that makes in this moment him all of this come out, but it really does shine him in a new light in a lot of ways. And he sends the other people out of the room, and his reason for wanting to talk to Kaladin is like, how do you know how to be a hero? Because I was like, what? Everybody loves you. You saved Dalinar, you fought shard bearers, you came back after falling into the storming chasms. How do you know what to do? And I like Kaladin's like, oh, it's just luck. Like, I feel like he's giving you an opening here to maybe say something meaningful, and you're just trying to brush it off. But
and to be fair, Kaladin's also been put on the spot for a question that we've seen enough inside Kaladin to know, like, Kaladin doesn't view himself that way, especially not now that he's lost Syl. Like, he does not view himself in that way. So he just is probably not ready to answer a question like that, or even feel that he can justify being called that.
Especially from this guy. Like, the last interaction Kaladin had with this guy was Elhokar throwing him in prison and telling him to be thankful he wasn't just straight up executed. So yeah, I understand Kaladin might be reticent to just, like, have a heart-to-heart with the guy.
Fair, yeah.
Right. And And we're about to get there, but yeah, like Elhokar admits in this section that like he's like, yeah, it was not your fault, the thing with Sadeas. It was my fault. I was jealous of you going out there and doing what I didn't do. And I was mad because I saw how people looked at you and was like, why, I'm the king. Why don't people look at me this way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start maybe feeling a little bad for the guy, but still. No. So,
Well, this is why I actually like Elhokar as a character. He is flawed. He is absolutely not a good character. Like, he's trying to be one. He doesn't know how. Every attempt he makes fails. Everyone looks down on him. Everyone shits on him, and he's just like, what do I have to do to be a good person? And he doesn't know. And like that I find that really interesting. Especially because, like the one person he looks up to the most is Dalinar. Dalinar doesn't take him seriously. Elhokar's told him that. Like, we've seen Dalinar beat the shit out of him when probably what he needed was a hug. And just to be told it's okay if you're not your dad.
I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, interesting. That Dalinar dealt with that situation in a very violent way when maybe that's not what was called for. I mean, to his credit, he was like, I've tried everything else to make you to show you how dedicated I am to you. You won't listen. You're pulling stupid shit like this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
As we know, Elhokar does tend to get suckered by people who give him respect, and at the time Sadeas was giving him respect, so he thought, oh my god, I'm actually someone's treating me right.
Yeah. And Elhokar's like literally, not literally, because Dalinar didn't kill Gavilar, but he's like literally Hamlet. He's just like, I'm just sad and I don't know what to do, and I'm not my dad,
But Elhokar has this list. You guys have touched on a lot of it, but he's like, when I try to be strong, I make a fool of myself. When I try to be merciful, people walk all over me. When I try to listen to counsel, it turns out I've picked the wrong guys. Cough. What's his stupid name? The guy Kaladin hates. No, not Moash. He doesn't listen to Moash.
No, I know, but that's the whole Moash situation.
Rashon, thank you. Yes, cough. Rashon, cough. And when I try to do everything on my own, Dalinar has to take over before I screw the entire kingdom up. I can't even get a Dark Eyes to obey a command to visit the palace. Why doesn't this work? What do I have to do? And Kaladin's like, why are you here talking? Why are you asking me? Because you know the secret. I've seen it in how people look at you. You're a hero. Teach me. Although I really doubt Elhokar would be open to any teaching that Kaladin can offer. But even if Kaladin was in a place he felt like he could offer teaching. But instead, Kaladin's just staring at him like confused. What? He talks about how his dad, even people like Sadeas, loved and feared my dad. How do I do that? He's like, I want to be a king like my father was. And Kaladin's like, yeah, I don't know if that's possible.
Do we know much about what kind of king Gavilar was?
We don't know that much.
Was he the good king? Was he a bastard? Was he somewhere in between? I don't know.
I feel like from what we've heard is like Gavilar kind of took over by force and like forced the other princes to basically unite under him through like war, because Dalinar was like the enforcer, like general commander, taking all of these things to war. So to start out with, he definitely wasn't that good of a dude.
Yeah, we've definitely heard that Dalinar and Gavilar and Sadeas like were a team basically that brought all the other high princes under Gavilar's rule. So, I mean, to reunite the entire country and take over all these guys, that requires some impressive work, but not necessarily like, nice guy stuff. And in the flashbacks of the next book, we will get more information on that. Spoiler. And Elhokar's like, so you do still speak your mind even after the trouble it brought you. Tell me, do you think me a bad king, Bridgman? And there's no note about hesitation or anything. Kaladin's just like, yep, I do. And Elhokar's mad, but he's just like, I mean, I asked, so fine, okay. I just have to win you over too. I will be a king to be remembered. And Kaladin's like, well, or you could do what's best for the country and step down. And Elhokar's like, no, you shut your damn mouth. Don't overstep yourself. I shouldn't have come here. And Kaladin goes, I agree.
That's the best thing you've said yet. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Kaladin doesn't know how to be not antagonistic. I don't know. It's weird. And Elhokar starts to leave, and he's like, when you came, the shadows went away. And I was like, the shadows? I saw them in mirrors in the corners of my eye. I could swear I even heard them whispering, but you frightened them, and I haven't seen them since. Which I kind of like, we know that he was seeing weird symbol head dudes in the mirror, so like cryptics. I kind of figured that Kaladin scared them away because he had an honor spread with him, but I don't know. And then at the end of the chapter, he admits it, like, I'm sorry for what I did to you. I watched you fight to help Adolin, to defend Renarin, and I was jealous. You were this champion, so loved, and everyone hates me. I should have gone to fight myself. You're not the one who ruined our chance against Sadeas. It was me. Dalinar was right. Again. I'm so tired of him being right and me being wrong. In light of that, I'm not at all surprised you find me a bad king. Which is a very sad moment for Elhokar, and I'm just like, Colin, you could have, like, tried to help in some way instead of just being, like, refusing to, like, participate in the conversation, except to be like, no, yeah, you do suck, and I think you should leave.
Sounds like Elhokar needs to go on a life-changing mission in the chasms with Kaladin.
I mean,
worked for Shallan.
Yeah, it worked for Shallan. It works for the Bridgemen when they take them down there and, they feel way better about themselves after training there.
You don't want to do that. Then Elhokar and Kaladin are going to come out of the chasm being like, oh, man, he's so dreamy to each other.
So dreamy.
So
Hey.
dreamy.
Apparently Elhokar's wife isn't anything to call home about, so maybe Kaladin's what he really needs. You don't know.
In what way?
We get rid of Elhokar's wife, and then there's this new
but
relationship.
in what way is Elhokar's wife nothing to write home about?
Because she started the riots
bot.
back home.
She's crazy, but I mean,
other than that, she's fine, right?
Yeah.
I actually haven't seen her really at all. Like, I think she's been mentioned on page once as like, and Elhokar was sitting at a table with his wife during the party. We haven't seen her.
And Yasna wanted to bump her off.
Yeah.
But I just want to imagine Moash's reaction to, all right, so when are we going to kill the king? And Kaladin says, no, the king and I are a thing now. I'm sorry, what?
Sorry, there's been some important changes since we last spoke.
What the hell happened in that chasm?
Our second chapter is The Last Day. So, the unmade are a deviation, a flare, a conundrum that may not be worth your time. You cannot help but think of them. They are fascinating. Many are mindless, like the sprint of human emotions, only much more nasty. I do believe a few of them can think, however. So I've heard about the unmade a couple times, but this is from Book of the Second Desk Drawer, paragraph 14. So he's just writing everywhere.
I'm quite interested to see if there is a surface he didn't write on.
That would be all the more significant, I guess. If
why not that? Why that is not worthy for diagram.
That floorboard is ugly, and I don't want to write on it.
He actually wrote all across the pillowcase, but then he slept on it, and when we woke up, it was stuck to all the ink was on his head.
We lost the entire book of the pillowcase.
Oh no!
Transcribed from the left side of Taravangian's face.
Yeah. Smart Taravangian was like, that was the best part. Really tied the diagram together.
It really tied the room together. So we're back to Dalinar and Shallan and Co. And they're just standing there watching the troops. Dalinar won't take an umbrella. He's like, whatever. My men have to be out here in the rain. I'll be in the rain. I'm going to be soaked by the end of the day, whichever way it goes. So they got all their troops. They're ready to go. And across on the next plateau, there's a sea of glowing red eyes. They hadn't glowed before. This is... And it's a fun note that, like, the Parshendi beards still have the bits of gemstone in them, but they don't glow because we've gone too long without a high storm. The gems in spheres are cut with facets, so they hold light longer. But even those have almost failed at this point because we've been so long without a high storm. And Royan's over here like, oh crap. What did you bring us into, Dalinar? And Dalinar's like, hey, Shallan, can you do something about this? And Shallan's like, what? No. But the Knights Radiant were warriors. And she's like, okay, if that's true, then I've got a long way to go before I'm one of them. And Alinar goes, okay, give it to me straight. Were you expecting to find this when you brought us out here? And Dalinar's like, I mean, yeah. And you came anyway. You hauled us all the way out on the cursed plains to let us get surrounded by monsters and be slaughtered. And he has to, like, grab him by his jacket. In my mind, he's like, has to slap him. Like, get a hold of yourself, man. He goes, those are the Voidbringers out there. They've returned. It's true, and we have the chance to stop them. I will do anything, including sacrificing this entire army and myself, to protect Alethkar from those things. Do you understand? We're going to stop this evil from spreading to the world's parshmen, as my niece feared. If you survive this day, you'll be known as one of the greatest men of our generation. Now go and lead your men. Be a champion. And Aladar, like, he goes, okay, I'll do it. Gives a salute and heads off. And Sabaral's like, holy crap, he really believes that shit. He thinks he's going to be a Stormin hero. And Dalinar says, no, what he knows is that I was right about needing to unify Alethkar. He's a good soldier. Most of the High Princes are, or at least were at some point. And Sabaral's like, well, yeah, but sucks you ended up with us. I'm useless in battle, and Royan's archers will be wasted in this rain. Also, he's a coward. You just can't help yourself. Just got to be digging into Royan all the time. And Royan he doesn't even have the energy to, like, argue with Sabarial at this point. He's just like, Dalinar, is this really happening? Yeah, that's happening. I want you with your men. They need to see you. This is going to terrify them, but it doesn't terrify you. You're careful, in control. And Royan's like, yeah, you're right. You're going to get us out of this, right? No, I'm not. We're going to get ourselves out of it together. And
He's like, no, that's not what I said. I did not say I was going to do it.
And this works with Royan, too, who goes off to, like, get his people together. And Samariel's like, holy crap. What about me? Where's my impassioned speech? And Dalinar's like, you go back to the command tent and don't get in the way. And Samariel's like, all right, I can do that.
Yes, sir.
Good enough.
Whatever you say.
It's like we talked about last time. Like, I'm great at not doing stuff. All right.
You want me to not do things?
Sabariel, I want you to do absolutely nothing. It's the nicest thing you could have said.
Yeah. Oh, this is my dream job. I don't know why I didn't like you before. You're a nice guy.
And so he's like, I'm going to put some of my guys with shards in charge of your army, okay? You tell them to follow those orders. And by the way, if while you're in there, you want to burn some prayers for us? I don't know if anybody's listening, but can't hurt, right? And actually, Sabariel seems kind of comforted by the fact that Dalinar's not quite as confident as he's pretending to be to the others. And we get a note from Dalinar's head that, like, Sabariel is, like, can't fight or anything, but he knows how to pick the right men and pay them well. And he's like, yeah, he probably doesn't know that I know that about him. So actually, his army is pretty good. And he wants Navani to stay behind, too. And she's like, wait, you want my Fabrials? My help with all this stuff? I got to come. I can't do that from behind the lines. And so then Dalinar has the scribes come together to write down a big, dramatic speech to the men so that it can be repeated along the lines. He's like, these are the Void Bringers. We're here to stop them. I have been sent by the Almighty himself to save the land from another desolation. You've heard about the things that I've seen. Well, this proves that it was all true. Today, you don't fight for the wealth of Elidize or the honor of a king. You fight for the good of all men, and you don't fight alone. And then, as they're preparing, the battle plan calls for them to wait a little longer. The Parshendi starts singing. But it's not like any of the songs that they've ever heard from them before. And this is when R'lain comes up with the bridgeman, and the R'lain's like, that song. And Donald's like, what, dude? What's wrong? It is death.
Given what the Parshendi start doing, I imagine they're all just singing AC/DC's Thunderstruck. The guitar riff, they're just making the guitar riff with their mouths.
Yeah.
That could be a thing to play in this. Okay, yeah. If this was a movie.
If you got like 50,000 crab people singing that at you in the middle of the rain, I imagine that actually would be pretty fucking terrifying.
There's one with a guitar and a schoolboy outfit, just like strumming.
Honestly, 50,000 crab people in the rain, in the dark, singing anything could be pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
And R'lain is like, you have to stop it. Even if you have to kill them, do not let them finish that song. And Dalinar's like, all right, send word. We're going to change the battle plan. And the messenger's like, change it how? We attack now.
Yeah. If we don't make them stop singing that song, we're going to get sued by Angus Young.
If we hear the words, you've been thunderstruck, well, it's going to be a lot more literal than normal.
Yeah.
Well, apparently it is getting literal, but we'll get to there in a minute when we get to that, when we get to Adolin stepping into the fight. But
yeah, that's what made me think of it.
We go to Kaladin, who is at the training grounds, the Light-Eyed training grounds where he trains with Zahel. And it's weird because they've turned the sand pit area where they train into like a lake. Somehow, for some reason, he has to take off his boots so he can just kind of like step in there that comes up to his calves. And he's looking around for Zahel, and eventually someone's like, yeah, he's up above, Bridgeman. And sure enough, Zahel is up there in a hammock that he's strung between two poles, which Kaladin's like, those look like lightning rods. I'm not sure that's a good place to put a hammock. And above the hammock, there's a tarp to keep him dry. So Zahel's having a good old time. He's drinking, it says, a lavish grain liquor called Honu, or hard Honu. Also, I skipped right over one of my favorite moments where he's walking around all annoyed. Oh, or is that later? I don't know. He's walking around all annoyed, and he buys some chowder, and it's good, and that annoys him even more after like the crap he's given the others about eating chowder.
Why did he even buy it?
Yeah. He's like, probably smelled it and was like, that does smell good. And then he bought it and he ate it. He's like, it's delicious. Gosh dang it.
Damn it. Why did it have to be so good?
Lopin wins. Yeah, Lopin wins again.
And so Zahel's like, hey, you ever been to the Pure Lake? And they start talking about the Pure Lake, and Colin's like, why are we talking about this? Although there's also a good point where he says, it reminds me of being home, Zahel says. And Colin's like, well, then why aren't you there instead of here? Because I can't stand being reminded of home, idiot.
This guy has some chips on his shoulder about something, and we have no idea what.
Yeah. He's like, because I don't want to think about where I come from, you asshole. Like, what? Wait, what?
You're the one who brought it up, man.
Yeah, you brought it up. It's like,
this armor was a gift from my father. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sure your father was a great man. I hated my father. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm sure your father was a real prick. How dare you talk about my father that way?
Yeah. I'm complex. What can I tell you?
He brought it up because he's like, I know you're wondering why we made our own little Pure Lake down there. And it turns out, after some back and forth, where eventually Colin's like, you're a really annoying person, Zahel. Do you realize that? And Zahel goes, sure do. But it turns out they're washing the sand is the upshot. After a year of everybody like training in there, the sand gets nasty, and they use this opportunity of constant rain to like wash all the gunk and crap out of it.
Yeah,
there's one good line
out of a sand floor. Not easy.
Not easy. I guess there's a couple of good lines in here. One is where Kaladin says something obvious, and Zahel goes, excellent deduction, like fresh blue paint on a wall. And Kaladin's like, whatever that means.
Again with the colors. This guy's definitely from Nalthis.
Nalthis, yeah. That's what you're thinking of, yeah.
How many breasts he got? That's what I want to know.
Yep.
I guess we don't know if it works the same way here. Would it be obvious? Like, would colors be brighter around a person with a lot of breaths on a different planet?
I don't know. Maybe they're not trained. Like, if they're not really looking for that sort of thing, it's like, isn't that weird? Oh well.
Anyway, moving on.
The other line I like is, after a year's worth of being kicked around by stinky Bridgman feet and equally stinky but far more refined Light-Eye's feet, and also having people like me spill food in it, then we have to wash it up. And Kaladin is just like, why are we talking about this? And so I was like, because it's important or something. I don't know. You came to me on my vacation, so you have to listen to me blab.
It's like, I'm quite comfy here on my hammock between lightning rods, waiting to get hit by lightning so I don't have to listen to any more fucking questions.
And Kaladin's like, do you know where the King's Wit is? Like, I'd much rather talk to that guy than you. Which is a hell of a thing, given how frustrating a conversation with Wit can be. And Zahel goes...
Wit is, he's witty. Zahel is just a grouch.
He is so grouchy. It's true. Zahel goes, that fool Dust? Not here, blessedly. Why?
I love this, like, inside, and it's like, oh, other people Wit has pissed off in the past. We don't know how, but we just know, like, maybe Zahel was just walking around the training grounds and Wit was just following him playing on a tuba or something. He's just like, will you shut that fucking noise up?
Yeah, if there's ever someone that Wit needed to piss off, it's Zahel. I feel like Zahel would just be a target for Wit straight off.
Absolutely.
I could see that, yeah. We get another name for Hoyd, though. I don't think we've ever heard him called Dust before with a capital D.
Don't know.
Oh, this is the part where it's like Kaladin's been looking for Wit all day. At some point, he broke down and bought some chowder from a lonely street vendor, and it tasted good, and that hadn't helped his mood.
Yeah, God knows I hate it when I get delicious food.
I wonder if Wit was the guy who sold him the chowder. I could totally see Wit following Kaladin. It's like, oh, he's going to buy some food, and let me just sneak in here, and I'll like put on a hat and a fake moustache, and I'll pose as the vendor.
I mean, that's kind of what he did that time he was driving the carriage, right? For Adel and
Exactly.
Echelon. Yeah.
He'd been a carriage driver for like years for him.
He's like, hey, your Herdazian accent's a little strange. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
What are you on about, lad?
Must be a regional thing.
He's from South Herdaz, it's very different there.
South.
Lots of countries have a South.
It's true.
That was a line from the show I was just doing. Like, had a girl posing as, like, she's from New York, but she's posing as a maid from Cockney, and like the guy's trying to explain this to his relatives, and it's like, oh, she's from the south of England.
There's a season of Doctor Who where he repeat, like, people are like, you said you were from the north. He's like, lots of planets have a north.
I think isn't that like the first season of the revival?
No, I think it's the first David Tennant season. So I think maybe it's season 2. And I don't know. Maybe it was the first one. I have to go back and rewatch that at some point. Anyway, this is Zahel. He's not Scottish at all, as far as we know.
The Highlander thing. You talk funny. Where are you from? Lots of places.
Eventually, Zahel's just like, what was it that you wanted? And Kaladin goes, like, I have to make a choice between two equally distasteful things. You ever had to do that? Every day I choose to keep breathing. And Kaladin is trying to, talk about this assassination without talking about it. He's like, something bad's going to happen, and I can prevent it, but maybe it would be good if the bad thing happened.
Yeah, guys, I just got that. Every day he chooses to continue to keep breathing because he has to use breath every day.
Yes.
And so he's like, that's distasteful because I'm using up a breath.
That would be a weekly thing if he was returned.
Well, weekly, whatever. You know what I meant.
Okay. And Zahel's advice is choose the option that makes it easiest for you to sleep at night. That's what I wish I'd done. And Kaladin's like, this was not helpful, and he leaves.
Zahel's just like, pick whichever option means you stop fucking bothering me.
So just as an additional note to all of this, Kaladin had to crutch his way up the stairs to get to Zahel, soaking wet, also while it's raining, and now he has to crutch his way back down. So it's just not a good situation all the way around. And then he goes downstairs and he tries to do some spear like forms, even all injured as his leg is, and it's just not bringing him any peace, any pleasure like it usually does. And at some point he just like starts screaming at the sky. He deserves it. Give me one reason why he doesn't. It might not be his fault, and he might be trying, but he's still failing.
And like, I'm just imagining all of the Ardents being like, what's going on now?
Yes. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, did he walk out of the middle of all of the Ardents before he did this? Because you're kind of...
We're trying to clean the sand here.
You're kind of yelling some important stuff here.
Also, like, we're trying to relax, man. This is our time off.
Chill
before
out,
the end of the world, We're about to have an end of the world party. You're welcome to stay. You just gotta, pipe down.
You may have ocean madness, but that's no excuse for ocean rudeness.
Ocean rudeness. And Kaladin whispers, like, it's right to remove the wounded limb. This is what we have to do to... And then he remembers the words, gotta do what you can to stay alive, son. Turn a liability into an advantage whenever you can. That's what Tien's squad leader had said about sacrificing Tien and the other young, untrained kids.
Yep.
And then he comes to a realization. He's like, I mean, it hadn't been Tien's fault. Tien had tried, but he'd still failed. Oh, crap. The king is Dalinar's Tien. I don't know that that's like a one-to-one metaphor there, but I get what
Kaladin never beat the crap out of Tien for anything.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably closer to like a surrogate child thing than a brother because, it's like his brother's gone. All that's left of his brother is Elokar. And it's, well, and now that Yaz is gone too, yeah. But now that he thinks Yaz is gone, like really all he's got left is Elokar. So it's like, it's one of those things. Plus, his now, like I said, he's doing the whole Hamlet thing. So, my sometimes nephew, my now son, like,
Yeah.
it's a whole thing.
I was about to say he also has Gavilar's wife, so there's that going for him.
Yeah, he's really taking care of all of his brother's stuff. You know what I mean?
Taking care of business. Yep. We cut to Adolin, who's like, "Wait, attack? Are you sure that's what my dad said?" And the girl's like, "Yeah, that's go do it." And so they have to go in there. And Drahe and Scar are here, his Bridgeman bodyguards. And he's like, "Are you guys gonna sit this out? Your captain doesn't like you going into battle against Parshendi." And they're like, "Screw that. Those aren't even Parshendi anymore. Like, we'll do it." Good answer. Let's do this thing. And he kicks Sureblood into motion, and they head across. And then there's a flash of light, and he finds himself thrown to the ground. The world's spinning, and he heaves himself back up, and on the ground is Sureblood.
Sureblood, no.
We just hear Brandon's theme song, "Goodbye Horses."
Goodbye horses.
And we get like this mini flashback of like him as a kid, more nervous than the day when he'd won his blade in a duel. They picked their rider son. We fixate on shards, but any man, courageous or coward, can bond a blade. Not so here. On this ground, only the worthy win. And he has to like tell himself, move, grieve later, move now. And when he gets back up, he sees the lines are already crumbling. These new Parshendi are throwing red lightning around. And people getting fried in their metal armor in the rain out here with lightning flying all over the place.
Yeah, they've been thunderstruck.
Exactly. Yeah.
You the god of hammers?
But strangely, like, they don't seem like real good at what they're doing. Like, he sees them throwing this stuff around, but it like doesn't tend to go straight where they want it to go. And he sees a blast come from a pair of Parshendi, and it just like goes straight into the ground and dissipates. And he has to yell at his men, like, charge, tighten up. If we break, we're dead. Come on. And he goes in there and starts cutting people down. But weirdly, his armor, like, the shard plate is always translucent, like around so you can see out of it from the inside. But there's something about it that, like, when he sees lightning go past, the helm, like, black, like, puts a dark line right over where the lightning is, as if to save his eyes intentionally. It's like, wow, it's like this armor was designed to fight exactly this enemy. And he kills some of them, and he yells out, "They can be killed." One of the soldiers says, actually, "They can die." And that bolsters the troops, and they start moving forward. And then we cut to Shallan, who's drawn a map. And they've got scouts coming back in, reporting what the different plateaus right around here look like. The plains were a fourfold radial pattern mirrored down to the center of each quadrant. And so if she can figure out what one quadrant looks like, she can figure out what the other three quadrants look like, yeah. There's a large plateau in the center, someone says, obviously inhabited. And the plateau surrounding that. And Lynn says, Shim and Felt are scouting those. Felt should be back soon. And they're trying to find the Oath Gate, trying to figure out where it could be in this big old city. And the lady who's kind of in charge of this group of scholars is in Adara. And she wants them to get moving. And Shallan wants more information. She's like, we've been given an order by the High Prince himself to find the Oath Gate. And Shallan's like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. And then there's lightning outside, and Pattern says, bad, very bad. And in Adara is like, I don't like this thing. Spren should not speak. It may be one of them, a Voidbringer.
So
And
this is something that startled me. Like, we've talked before, sometimes we feel like Brandon has skipped over pretty important events. And Shallan just casually revealing to a bunch of people that she, like not just Dalinar, but like these other scholars and everyone else, like, so now like several people know she's got a Spren buddy. That seems like a hell of a thing to just gloss over.
It does mention that she wanted to keep him a secret, but when the winds picked up, he started buzzing loudly, and so she couldn't avoid like the scholars noticing him.
Okay, she couldn't avoid that, but Brandon like could avoid us, like showing us that.
Yeah, fair.
It's not important. We're in the Sanderlanche deck. He doesn't have time.
No time for that.
To give you all the info. No, I agree.
I'm sorry, it's not the Sanderlanche, but like I just,
The Sanderlanche.
I thought this was important.
That's like a side show we should do where we just talk about our theories on Spren and what they are. The Sanderlanche.
Nice. I like it. Pattern's like, I'm not a Void Spren. And the lady goes, Brighton Shallan. And Shallan's like, he's not a void spren. We should study it. How long do you say it's been following you? You should not dismiss my theories so quickly. It still might be related to the Voidbringers. Like, this lady is determined. And Pattern goes, you know nothing of patterns, old human. Or know you nothing of patterns? Voidbringers have no pattern. Besides, I've read about them in your lore. They speak of spindly arms like bone and horrific faces. I should think, if you wish to find one, the mirror might be a better location where you can begin your search. And this makes this woman
Oh,
off.
shit!
And,
throwing wicked burns.
sorry, Jamie, what did you say?
Like, when did he learn to be sassy? I feel like it's like
Off page.
there's like learning that, but I feel like we missed the montage of Patton learning his sass. You know, this is something I need to see.
This
Right.
is another Brandon, like, you know, he's covering up. He's covering up the stuff that where we get there. He's just like, no, here it is. Here's the
I want to
sass.
see Pattern gradually get better at insults. Yeah, like the montage of him learning to insult people.
To be fair, the only person he's been allowed to talk to is Shallan. So
It's true.
That we know of. Like, we don't know if like she would send him out to practice his insults, like Amaram walking up a corridor, and you know, and Patton's just hiding in the darkness. Just goes, "You're fat."
I'd be okay with that, actually. Like, Amaram's just getting insulted randomly as he walks around and has no idea where it's coming from.
Wow, who said that?
Amaram's just like, where the fuck are you?
So, I like Shallan's reaction is, well, that was clever. And he goes, yeah, I'm trying to learn. Insults in particular will be of great use to my people, as they are truth and lies combined in a quite interesting manner. So he's like, oh, this will be super useful for us. Just wait till I teach all of the other cryptics how to insult people.
It's gonna be the best day ever.
And then
Umbrella car.
The next time they show up in the mirrors, they're like, you're stupid.
Then Ellicar's just like, I already know that. Stop it.
Where'd you get that crown? The loser store?
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Shallan teaching Patton like how to be sassy inadvertently makes Ellicar's depression even worse.
Yeah.
Just unintended consequences, yep.
Your dad only stayed with your mom because you were born.
Ouch.
Ooh, wicked burn.
They're hearing pops from the outside, and Pattern says that's storm spren. They are a variety of void spren. This is not good. Something dangerous is coming. Draw more quickly. And then a guy comes in. Have you seen what's happening out there? Wasn't this planned to fight a defensive battle? And Inadar's like, what's your report? Give me a towel and some paper. I rounded the southern side of the central plateau. I will draw what I saw, but damnation, they're throwing lightning. It's insane. And he gives her what he has seen out there, and she looks down and she goes, that's wrong. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He looks at what she's drawing, as she's trying to mirror the plateaus, and he says, that's wrong. And she goes, wrong? Her art? Of course it wasn't wrong. And he goes, that plateau there, it's not long and thin like that. It's a perfect circle with big gaps between it and the other plateaus. And she goes, well, that's unlikely. If it were that way. And then she thinks, if it were that way, it wouldn't match the pattern. Okay. And so we cut straight to Renarin talking to Dalinar, and Dalinar's like, well, then get Brighton Shallan a squad of soldiers and do what she says. Go protect the scholars. And Renarin's like, I don't know. It wasn't a request. Do as you're told, or give that storming plate to someone who will. And Renarin's like, yep, okay, I'm on it. Parshman, is this storm they're doing? He asks Rlain. I believe so, Bright Lord Dalinar, because there's a storm kicking up. And so we learned that fighting these new Parshendi, this is a very different prospect than what they've fought before. This lightning is just tearing through people. And he's sending, reinforcements to where it's needed, whatever. We don't need to go into those details. But the Alethi are holding their own, but it's not going as well as they probably hoped it would. And then he hears a voice that says, I'm sorry that you have to die this way. And he looks around like, who said that? And everyone's like, what? Nobody said anything. And he thinks, wait, I recognize that voice. It's the one that I hear in my visions. It's the voice of the Almighty. And that is where we end our chapters. So
God?
That's a heck of a place, yeah. But God doesn't just talk to you in the middle of battles?
No.
No.
When God already said he was dead.
Yeah, right. He said that. All right, so let's move into predictions. We're going to do 3 chapters for next time. I'll give you the titles, and then you guys, what do you think is going to happen? Where are we going? How are things going to progress here? The next chapter is called, chapter 82 is For Glory Lit. And then 83 is Time's Illusion, and 84 is The One Who Saves. So there we go.
I don't know what to make of the first two. The One Who Saves, I feel like that's Kaladin saving Elhokar from Moash, because he is the one who saves.
Oh, I mean, he does do that sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, that is something he has done many times. As far as predictions go, I'm still just banking on, like, as far as everything happened back at base camp, I'll just stand by what I have said previously. I think Moash tries to kill Elhokar, Kaladin stops him, Seth drops in. I don't know where this stuff at the Shattered Plains is going. Like, clearly Shallan has found something, but I could not tell you what. Or that she's going to find something, I've got no idea what. I'm at the point where it's like, I can't fathom. There's too much going on. I need to just see it through.
Sanderlanche can be like that, and it does seem like we've entered that territory here.
Oh, yeah.
So that's fair. It's this is the time where we just buckle up and see where it's all going to end up, because as much as we've tried to predict in the past, I feel like we always underestimate what he can accomplish in at this point. Let's see. We're 91% of the way through the book, so he has 9% left.
Was it? We got 2 more episodes of this book, or 3?
3 episodes of this book left.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, not long left.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it's going to end up. I would say that we still have something bad still coming, like worse than what they're experiencing now. The war form's pretty terrifying, but I very much doubt they just can't control their lightning. That seems like a terrible thing to misjudge before you bring your whole civilization to war. So I think we're going to see things get worse before they get better on the Shattered Plains. I do think Kaladin, as it was my prediction last week, that he would somehow save Elhokar. I think that will happen. I think that will bring Syl back and restore honor. She's not actually dead, which would be nice. I don't really have any new predictions, unfortunately. Yeah, just thinking about all the extra or new information that we've got this week. There's not really a lot of in my mind that is changing or any bright ideas sparking, unfortunately. But it's all going to happen very quickly now, whatever happens.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, kind of the same thing Dak said. It's hard to try to take shots at this point when we're so close.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What are the chapter titles again? Sorry.
82 is For Glory Lit. 83 is Time's Illusion, and 84 is The One Who Saves.
For Glory Lit, I would have to think that that's maybe more focused primarily on the battle on the Shattered Plains, glory and all that good stuff. The One Who Saves, I agree with the other assessment. That's got to be Kaladin saving Elhokar from the machinations of Moash. Like how I made that alliterative there, the machinations of Moash. Anyway, and then Time's Illusion, I feel like that has to be Shallan, right? She's the one who makes illusions. So probably on the battlefield doing some illusion stuff. Be fun, be interesting. But yeah, we're kind of on the roller coaster ride, right? So it's like it's almost hard to know what's coming or to even predict, because it's just like we're just taking the ride at this point. So beyond what I said in the chapter kind of headings, I don't have a lot of stuff. I think I've said in the past, I think there's going to be some kind of major shift as far as the focus of the enemy at the end of this book. So I'm going to stick with that. There's going to be, after this fight comes to a head with the Parshendi and it's all said and done, I think there's going to be a major shift in the direction of the aggression in our story. And so I think things are going to open up to a higher level of threat. So that's kind of where I'm at. Don't have
You've opened the earth up to a higher form of war.
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
I mean, okay, so given that, and we talked about it last time, we focused so much on this fight with the Parshendi up till now. We seem to be like in it at this point. Like the last of the Parshendi are going up against everything Dalinar could bring to bear. So if the focus continued to be on like the conflict between these two after this point, like this battle would have to be really disappointing. I feel like we'd have to have this battle and it would have to not settle anything. So
and that's entirely possible.
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess
it is possible. The higher level of threat could come down and be like, you are now my children. Come with me, and I will make you powerful and strong. And then they all fly away, and there's not a satisfactory conclusion to the fight.
Poochie had to return to his home planet. Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Fair. All right. Makes sense to me. And I guess we will see before long. Like I said, we only have 9% left. So.
Yep.
All right. Let's do. Oh, we have time. Let's do. We have a couple new patrons, so get your list ready. But in the meantime, we will do some emails. This one says read when we get to 84. We're not at 84 yet. That'll be next time. Okay. So our first one is from Stuart. And it says, fantastic podcast. Hi, Sanderlanche crew. Stuart here from the Republic of Ireland. I've been binging your podcast since December and started my Cosmere journey using your podcast as my guide. I've been listening to the books through Audible, and I'm currently in the middle of Warbreaker. I've been amazed by what you're able to catch in the books so far. However, I was surprised that in the Lost Metal, you all missed something huge. Sorry.
Suspense.
I think you missed a new shard name drop during a conversation between Wax and Telson somewhere in the book. I think the line goes, that's another god. So hold on. I have to look back at this now. I paused because I was like, did we? Hold on.
You got something even Data didn't catch, apparently.
Another god. Let me search this for that. Well, no, hold on. Oh, okay. I see what they're referencing now. Who is this talking? Sorry, I gotta. It's Wax for sure. Who's he? It is Telson. Okay, interesting. All right, so we have read that. So Telson says autonomy is odd. She respects those who are bold, strong, able to survive on their own, but she also wants them to obey her. I suppose that's the irony of godhood. Half the time, being autonomous, quote, means following her plan. And there's no whimsy to her. That's a different god. And whimsy is capital W.
Ooh.
I thought we had talked about that at the time, but maybe not.
Maybe we did.
I don't.
It's been a long time, so I do not remember. Yes, but the implication here is that there may be a shard named Whimsy, given that conversation, which would be a hell of a weird shard that I would want to meet, honestly.
Like my mind first went to Hoyd, and I don't think it's Hoyd, but like maybe Hoyd's just riffing on Whimsy's bit.
So yeah, he'd be perfect for that, right? I don't know that you want someone with godlike powers to be whimsical, like as their defining characteristic. That could be dangerous.
That sounds like one of the demon princes from Oblivion, Elder Scrolls. You don't want that.
The drunken guy.
Yeah, the chaos guy. He's pretty whimsical, but he's crazy.
It's like Whimsy could be Loki on a good day.
Yeah, on one of his nicer days. Yeah, for sure. That would be unexpected. Like a literal Marvel MCU character just pops up in the Cosmere.
Oh, that's not what I meant, and you know it.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, what if Loki got that shard? Like that would be unexpected for sure.
That is the kind of thing he would want.
Maybe. I'm trying to think if he was picking a shard, would he pick that? Like, I don't know that he thinks of himself as being like. I feel like that's a show that he's putting on, but I don't know. The email continues. I was really looking forward to hearing the conversation on it, but was a bit disappointed when you missed it. Looking forward to catching up with ye in the Stormlight Archive after Warbreaker. All the best, Stuart, your blind fan from Ireland. Oh, thanks, Stuart.
Hey, thank you.
It's I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Glad to hear from somebody in Ireland. I don't know that. Maybe we got another email.
Yeah. What part of Ireland are you from, Stuart? If you'd like to email back and let us know. I've been to Ireland, and it was a beautiful country.
Ireland's probably one of my top bucket list countries that
Yeah,
I have
same.
not yet made it
It's
to.
beautiful.
I've considered doing like a cruise that goes around the British Isles just to like see various places there because that would be fun. But
Yeah, one of my favorite places I've ever been for sure.
I like the idea of going places on vacation where I can speak the language also.
Yeah, everybody.
That's
Well,
nice.
unless they're speaking Gaelic, but
Well,
usually they know English as well.
Our next one is from. I almost said it was from Teravangian. It's from James, and the title of the email is Teravangian. When you
Man,
guys
Teravangian himself emailed us, I would be shocked. I tell you.
Yeah, that would be worrisome, honestly.
Yeah,
Where
well,
he's
he
on
wrote
the
about us
diagram.
in the diagrams. Yeah, exactly.
He's so smart on this day that he figured out the internet, and
He figured out that he was a fictional character like Moriarty in Star Trek.
yeah,
Next Gen.
that's worrying. It says, when you guys were talking about Taravangian suddenly manifesting lift powers, all I could think of was Taravangian pulling a King Boomy from Avatar. Can just see Seth's drop as Taravangian drops his coat and turns from frail old man to muscly old monster Radiant. I don't think I'm going to be able to see Taravangian again without thinking evil Boomy. Love your show.
I mean, Sazed basically did the same thing.
Sazed absolutely did just Hulk out a la Boomy. That's true. But
yeah.
But like Taravangian as evil Boomy is like the best summation of the character.
Yeah, okay.
It may not be the most accurate, but goddamn, it's the best.
It's fun. Yeah, no, I sorry, I was just trying to picture it. I'm like in my head, like, yeah, okay.
Let me picture this. Yep. No, I got it. I'm there.
That's probably enough emails for today. Well, I'll save a few for next time. New patrons. We have 3 new patrons today. First, at the Mistborn level, we have Stefan.
Stefan, you are a sentry. You store wakefulness.
There you go. Stefan, I know. I just noticed. I realized looking at the email address of Stefan in Patreon, I noticed that our most recent email, which came in a couple of days ago, is from that same email address. So I guess Stefan has sent us an email. We'll get to that next time.
Nice. I hope in his email he doesn't say, "I'd really love to be this."
I don't think so. I don't remember us getting one where somebody was talking about joining the Patreon, or I probably would have remembered that. Then again, I didn't remember the thing about Whimsy because some of these emails are very old at this point. That one was from, let's see, January 27th, and we are now February 15th. So I've vacationed since then, you know. The next new patron that we got at the Ska level is Krieger the Cat.
Krieger the Cat, huh?
That's what it says.
Krieger, you're a skimmer, like our good friend Wax. You store physical weight.
Yeah. And our last one, also at the Ska level, is Tom.
Tom, you are a blood maker. You store health.
So thank you guys, new patrons. Also, I don't usually talk about, like, you can now join Patreons for free just so that you can follow them. I don't really make any posts on ours. I don't think that go up for free patrons usually, but I still get alerts about new free patrons. Somebody joined today called Scooter McGavin, like Shooter McGavin from Billy Madison, or was that Billy Madison? Or it's the other one.
That is Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. Yes, thank you. I always mix those two titles up because they're just the titles or the names of two guys.
And his production company is called Happy Madison, I think, is a play on those two titles. So, or was. Yes. I don't know if it still exists.
I thought that was a funny name. So shout out to you, Scooter McGavin. That made me laugh today. If you'd like to send us an email, like some of those folks did, the address is thesanderlanche, all one word, @gmail.com. Find us on Instagram and I almost said X and I didn't mean to. And Blue Sky and Patreon, where I'm still putting up. I think I missed a week while I was on vacation, but I edited a couple more today, so we shouldn't have another miss for a while. But I'm still putting up my reactions to Wind and Truth as I'm reading it for the first time. A couple of weeks ago, you guys got my overall thoughts on it, along with Poet's commentary on a book that he hadn't read. Fun fact: Poet did not like at least one character that is very popular with our group, based on not knowing anything about the story, but me having to explain things so that what I was saying made sense. He's like, man, that person sucks. So someday we'll have to.
I look forward to like 5 years time when we can finally find out what the hell he was talking about.
Yeah.
To the deep amusement of a couple of people on the Discord, that Poet was just like, yeah, that character sucks. But anyway, so check that out if you're interested. Remember, we're doing 3 chapters for next time. We're actually doing 3 chapters every week for the next 3 weeks, because that'll take us right into the end of the book. So 3 chapters for next time, 82 through 84, if you're reading along. Check those out. Music by Miracle of Sound. And Wuzzing to the Time of Next. Colo, P.S. Fasher. Crab at thee.
Amnesia, you forgot your name. Don't let your spirit fade away. Amnesia, you've been through such pain, but you're growing stronger every day. Amnesia.